Hello, 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 and welcome to the review of World War II. I have some friends today that are going to help me review most of what we've been learning about World War II. So let's meet them, shall we? First of all is the dear Mr. Hedgehog. Today will be playing the USA. Second, we have Little Bear playing the Tuskegee Airmen. He has a heart because they saved lots of lives and were heroes. Then I have the beloved Mr. Beaver playing Japan. Our friend the hamster JR will be playing France. I see the dog will be playing the Red Cross. And lastly, this sweet white bear right here will be playing Germany. So make sure you are paying attention. They will be telling you when and where everything happened. So the first thing we learned about was that Hitler was the new ruler of Germany, and there's lots of reasons why Hitler wanted to go to war. He thought that the Germans were better than all the other people, and he thought his way of ruling was the best, but he also wanted more land. So he took over lots of countries, specifically in Europe. One of those countries that he took over was France. So now Hitler has taken over France. But as you remember, the United States has not joined the war. Our next scene takes place in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Hawaii is part of the United States. So this is where Pearl Harbor, Hawaii is, right where that red dot is. So here was the United States, Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Everything was quiet. We weren't wanting to go to war when Japan flew over us and dropped some bombs on us in Pearl Harbor and started World War II. So Pearl Harbor was the time that took place in Hawaii when Japan bombed the United States and started World War II. Now, all throughout the war, there were some very special soldiers called the Tuskegee Airmen. Now, unlike my bear, the Tuskegee Airmen were all African American men. They were not bears. They were all African American men. And at that time, a lot of people said that African American men would not be able to do what they did, but they were heroes during the war. They flew airplanes all around, and they saved lots of lives during World War II. They were special heroes who flew airplanes during World War II, and they were the only African American or black pilots during World War II. So those were the Tuskegee Airmen. During the war, there was lots of people needing food and supplies and getting hurt, and so the Red Cross, the nurses in the Red Cross, also helped lots of soldiers during World War II by taking care of them and making sure they were okay. So if a soldier was flying in an airplane like a Tuskegee Airman and they fell and got hurt, the Red Cross would come and take care of them. All right, so many years go by as the countries are fighting World War II until in France, right here where my circle is, something important happened. So remember, at this time in France, Germany has taken over France, but the United States and all of our allies decides that we are going to do something about this. We snuck in through the sea to the beaches in France, and we started fighting Germany, and we fought and we fought and we fought, and it was a long, hard battle until we took back over France. That was called D-Day. So D-Day was when the United States and our allies like Britain came and fought Germany to free France, and it took place right where that circle was, on the beaches in France. Well, after many, many years of fighting, finally the end of the war had come. The United States had rescued France from Germany on D-Day, and now Germany was defeated. Germany had surrendered, and the United States and all of our allies won World War II in Europe. It was a great celebration, and this was called V VE-Day. V for victory and E for Europe. Victory in Europe. VE-Day. The United States won the battle in Europe when Germany surrendered. Was VE-Day. Now, just because we had won the war in Europe for VE Day does not mean the war was over. We were still at war with Japan. Now, this map is pretty blurry. I'm so sorry, but you can still kind of see it. I have Japan right here, and way over here in this itty bitty dot, this itty bitty red dot, is the island of Iwo Jima. So, this next thing we're going to talk about happened on the Japanese island of Iwo Jima. Now, the United States came and we flew over and we started landing in Iwo Jima, and we thought it would be a quick and easy battle, but instead it was a hard battle and there was fighting for a long time. And during this battle, there was a famous picture made. The famous picture was about a bunch of U.S. troops raising the U.S. flag. And if you want to see that picture, you can look back onto your slides. So Iwo Jima was the battle that took place on a Japanese island with the famous photo of a lot of American soldiers raising the U.S. flag. Well, the United States finally won the Battle of Iwo Jima. But even then, it wasn't the end of the war in Japan. In fact, a lot more fighting had to happen. The United States had to drop 2 bombs on Japan. Finally, though, Japan surrendered, and on VJ Day, that stands for Victory in Japan Day, VE, Victory in Europe, VJ, Victory in Japan, VJ, Victory in Japan, the United States won the war in Japan. The war was all finished. All the soldiers could go home. It was a day of celebration across the United States and across the whole world, because World War II was over. It was such an exciting day. After the war, many countries came together to form the United Nations, or the UN, and the UN existed as a group to try to make peace. And nowadays, the UN still exists. There still are wars going on, but the UN does its best to try to make peace. And there's other organizations that help too, working together to try to make peace. Well, that's the end of our social studies review today for our test. If you still need to retake the quiz, please see the next slide for your quizzes. If you do not, the next slide will not have your quizzes. It'll have instructions on what to do for your project for your test. Thank you guys, and bye!